Hello, this talk is on the farm murders in South Africa, and is there any movement in South Africa for Boer independence? Because most of the murders in South Africa, although some black farmers have been murdered, have been specifically not at the white population of South Africa, but specifically at the Boer population. That is the Dutch-speaking nation of the Boers, and we can say that they are different from the white Afrikaners because the Boers arrived in 1652 and moved inland from the coast. Now, during this time, the Bantu-speaking people, such as the Zulu, the Xhosa, were moving down from the north and replacing, or by extermination, the Hottentots, who were like the Kalahari Bushmen, that you might be familiar with from survival programs. Now, the Boers and the Bantu lost claim the same land at the same time, and there's a turbulent history for which the Boers, sometimes in just groups of hundreds, stared down 15,000 Zulu warriors as at the Battle of Blood River. So now the Boers feel that their choice is either to leave or to be murdered in their homes, and it's not just individuals but whole families who are being murdered on Boer farms. Now, during apartheid, I was at school in Britain, and I completely supported Mandela and the whole anti-apartheid struggle. But what I didn't appreciate was just that the Bantu in South Africa would take completely regressive and racist actions against the white people. Right? Perhaps I was too young to understand this, and I didn't understand what had happened in Rhodesia and then in Zimbabwe, but now I do. Now, if you want to know further about South African history, I suggest you read by Donald Morris, The Washing of the Spears, which is about the Zulu nation, and also The Boer War, which is by Thomas Pakenham. Two very good books. Okay, right, I've used three minutes up there. So let's say, for instance, if a Boer republic could be set up as an autonomous region within South Africa, or as a completely independent nation, how would we go about it? Well, I believe here that since the European Union gave the Kosovans, who are only 1 million people, the right to have an independent homeland from Serbia, who were also suffering from genocide, and this is what this is. This is being planned by armed gangs going around killing Boer families. Then we can say that the Boers, who are maybe 3 million people, and 1 million people have actually left South Africa since 1994, and since 2001 there's been 3,000 murders, as I said. Well, how would we go about this economically? Well, it would be easy to go down the route of other African countries and the Russians and start asset stripping the country's mineral wealth, but that is a dead-end economy. And I am reading here from previous described notes, and I normally don't. But if there was a South African currency, if a South African Boer currency could get started, if the Boers could set up universities, they would also have a good engineering and technology base as well. So the euro is not linked to oil, unlike which the US dollar is, but it's linked to a basket of goods which includes important factors such as gold, the gold price, which South Africa is famous for. If a Boer rand was able to fluctuate its gold backing and to be linked to the euro, then both currencies could be stabilised through put options and futures. If there was no link, a Boer rand could still be used to be a stabilising force on other African regional currencies. So the Boers would have to have a central bank. A central bank would be a prerequisite or a major factor in independence. That's what gives countries independence, their central bank. More important than nuclear weapons or at the time of the Victorians having battleships. But it would be, if there was a Boer central bank, it could profit from and give profits to its neighbours in the form of loans, and thus it would control their actions. If the ANC, South Africa that would be, did not give the Boers independence, i.e. things that could give independence, most important, a central bank and a military, and then the ANC would not get political domestic goodies from having their currency bolstered by a Boer rand links with their currency. If the ANC threatened the Boers, the Boer central bank could withdraw its support from by such actions as withdrawing loans or denying gold exchange for the ANC currency. So a military confrontation could be avoided. Any aggressive move by the ANC would be met by domestic discontent because of the disconnect in most people's mind, which would be the Bantu in South Africa, between the central banks and the government responsibility for economic matters and their welfare. Right. Now the Boer South Africa can coordinate gold reserve operations with the European Central Bank. So in times when the European Central Bank needed more money, supply or liquidity, they could borrow against future sales of gold from Boer South Africa to the EU and vice versa. And this would be done through the central banks of central banks, which is in Switzerland, and so you would have a link there between the ECB and the Boer Central Bank. The Boer South Africa can now borrow or lend, if such a republic ever occurs. The money markets would thus reflect this trade. Now, where the main business the Boers would build on is their intellectual capacity. You have to remember that during the South African apartheid era, you're talking about a few million people developing nuclear weapons, which they did with the Israelis. And I'll come on to the importance of the Israelis in any future building of South African Boer republics in a minute. Primarily, the Boers would be able to, because of their experience in South Africa, in the field of farming in a harsh climate and African climates, for farming and infrastructure technology. So the EU and US companies would invest in Africa. The Boer Republic would be a bulwark against China's expansion and also provide income to the Boer Republics by having a Boer Navy. So it would be a prerequisite for Transvaal and the Orange Republic to have access to the sea. And I don't foresee any problems with the South Africans, the non-Boer South Africans keeping Johannesburg. They could have a road link. Now, they would protect the shipping by protecting ship lanes of international trade from Somalian and Kenyan piracy.